Hey, everybody, and welcome to The Stack. I am Bryan Broaddus here at Crown Global Media Studios, and I am joined by my scouting buddies. Hey, they're on the road today. Well, we had a little bit of some weather conditions here in the DFW area, and so Iisha Morrison, with her proud retirement plaque behind her from her military service. So proud of you for that, kiddo. Great job.
I did something with my life.
You did something with your life. Well, thank you. Thank you for what you did for all of us. We really appreciate that. And then my other scouting buddy, Zach Wolchuk. Guys, how are we doing today?
Ooh, I'm good, man. Senior Bowl week, Shrine Bowl week. We're starting to get some tangible information and some accurate measurements.
There you go. There we go.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my favorite. Yeah. So this is a good week of football. We're going to learn a lot of information and take in a lot of stuff. We got some people down on the ground telling us what's going on. This is the week. What you tell me, Bryan? Draft starts in where?
Draft starts in Mobile, they say.
There you go.
That's what they do.
Period. So it's about to get real. So I'm excited. What about you, Zach?
Great. I mean, this is, we're starting to thaw out. So I think today is the day that everybody will finally get out in the Metroplex. But I'm pumped. I mean, tonight we got the Shrine Bowl. Bryan will be on the call for that. Excited for him to have that opportunity. There's so much talent in both of these games. We're going to get a lot of good information. You mentioned it, getting some of the height, the weight. I know Diego Pavia has probably lost himself an opportunity to possibly get drafted entirely with how darn short he is. Maybe somebody wants to gamble on day 3. Romello height, I think, checked out similar what we thought he would, 6'3", what was it, like 249, somewhere around there where he weighed in and measured. So, man, this is great. It's all about just trying to consume as much information as we can, but at the end of the day, going back, trusting your eyes, as you say, Bryan, and just going with what we saw from the tape.
Yeah, today we're going to get into these defensive tackles, and I know there's people out there going, hey, Broaddus, listen, why is the Stack talking about defensive tackles? The Stack is all about the draft. You know, I want to cover all the positions. Yeah, we've got some Dallas Cowboy ties here, but I want to make sure that we cover all the positions. And I got some of these defensive tackles I want to get into. But I want to also ask you guys a question before we get started. And I always love this when Iisha tells me this. She goes, you are stressing me out right now with this. Iisha, did Daniel Jeremiah stress you out with his mock draft yesterday that he put up on NFL.com?
I don't know if he stressed me out, but I did feel the spirit of confusion come upon Cowboys Twitter and in my home. I felt the spirit of confusion. I didn't know what was going on. Like, where are you? What you doing? You trying to set Twitter on fire with this draft? So I guess I would say that, you know, he stressed me out. I ain't stressed because I know that's not what they gonna do. Because if they do, it's gonna be rioting in the streets.
Okay.
In Cowboy land.
Okay.
But I was a bit confused as what he knows or thinks he knows that would make Dallas go that route. Now, what I will say before Zach gets into it, with some of the talks that Dallas has had with certain linebacker coaches and stuff like that, maybe a stand-up rusher type guy like Falk is what they're going to be looking for. Oh, I'm about to throw up.
Yeah, it's you're not wrong, Iisha. I do wonder, could the Cowboys really start to move more into this 3-4 front?
Yes,
makes Keldrick Falk more of in play here. Also, Cassius Howell. That stand-up 3-4 outside linebacker from Texas A&M. Is he a guy that they could consider there? I think Akeem Mesidor from Miami could also fit that with his body type as well. Now, I've got Mesidor higher than both of the others, personally. But as we've talked about on the show, 25 years old, the foot stuff, the injuries have to check out there. So you've got Hal, who's younger. And Keldrick Falk, guys, I think, I don't know. I like Keldrick Falk.
I think we like the player, but not the fit, right? I mean, we didn't feel like this when you watch, and here I am, I made this big speech about the Cowboys and we're a one-stop shop for everything.
Yeah, here we go.
But talking about the Cowboys, if you watch the Dallas Cowboys, you would think they don't have pass rushers.
Sure.
They don't have a a guy that finishes, and I don't think even Daniel Jeremiah said a tough evaluation.
He is.
He said it. He said it in his bio that he goes, or the words he used was a tough evaluation. And I think that's where we're all. I think we all realize the player is a good player.
Yeah.
It's a tough evaluation to where you feel like he's going to be the absolute best there.
So if you took Falk at 20 and you got a similar season to what you just got from Donovan Ezeraku, where you've got a guy that is a good starter that stops the run, gives you 2 sacks, is able to get some pressure. I mean, I think that's kind of what you're looking at with that player. Would that be a massive disappointment for you? Does that help the defense?
I don't think it helps. I don't think it helps the defense in the way that you need it to. But again, as Bryan just said, we are not looking at this gentleman as a fit for the Cowboys. But as this coaching staff shapes out, and we maybe get to hear from this brass, maybe they are looking to change some of the things that they're doing, and he might better suit that. Like we talked about, I think that he's getting a bad rep just from being consistent.
Yeah.
One of the most durable players, one of the most productive players. There's so much tape. I mean, you should walk away with a definite evaluation from this guy because there's so much tape. And I feel like, and it kind of sucks because the lack of pass rush ability is what's killing him. But I also think that he might come in and be one of the more league-ready guys to go start because of the run-stopping ability. And who does that sound like? Who may rest in peace? Who does that sound like?
Oh, Marshawn Kneeland?
And we have not talked about the fact that with the loss of Kneeland, like, as tragic as it was and things like that, and, you know, my heart goes out to his family and stuff. Listen, Dallas also, too, might be looking to replace him.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because it was unexpected. This is somebody that they were waiting to, you know, kind of step into that next role. He also, I think he was kind of a tank replacement. Let's just keep it a buck.
Yeah.
So it's like, this gentleman is no longer here anymore. Is Dallas? Is Dallas maybe, like, we're not thinking about it this way, but maybe Dallas is trying to replace, might be looking to replace, or not to replace. That's not the right word I want to use, but to, you know, to find somebody else to fill that role that they wanted Kneeland to fill. And he was the same way. High motor, can play across the line, size. We expected for him to be a good run stopper, still working his pass rush, but the pursuit to the ball, the motor, all that stuff was there. And that sounds like Falk. It's not the same completely, but it sounds like Falk. Am I tripping, Bryan?
No.
Zach?
No,
okay.
Not at all. Zach, you got a thought on that one?
No, I mean, I've been saying to me, I think he can be a Jadeveon Clowney-like player where he excels against the run. Is he going to be a double-digit sack guy? I don't think so, but he could give you anywhere from 5 to 8 any given year, and he can be a disruptive player. So I think some of the anti-Keldrick, that's just what I wanted to push back on. I feel like, oh my gosh, if you see Keldrick Falk in some of this mock draft, and I get at 12, I would probably feel the same way. But at 20, I'm comfortable taking Keldrick Falk there. I mean, I think that's probably about the range that I would be. I'll probably have him when I'm kind of stacking this thing out. Now, I want to throw this at you guys, unless you want to continue on this, Bryan.
Go ahead and throw some, because I want to throw something back at you, because Iisha brought up a point about coaches interviewing, and I want to get your thought on this one. But go ahead and throw it out what you got.
Okay. So this is just, we've been so focused on defense, and I understand it.
Sure.
But if the board falls this way on Daniel Jeremiah's mock, where you've got Downs is off the board, McCoy's off the board, the corner from Tennessee, Reuben Bain Jr. is off the board, the Miami edge, Sonny Styles, the linebacker from Ohio State's gone, David Bailey, the edge from Tech's gone, Mansour Delane, the corner from LSU is gone, Orville Reese is gone. So you're talking about your best defensive players are gone now at 12, and you're going to have to probably reach to take a guy that you'd feel better about taking at 20. Best player for me is Mekhi Lemon, the wide receiver from USC. And in that situation, are you looking at and saying, okay, if this ended up happening, this whole George Pickens deal, can I save money by tagging George Pickens, trading George Pickens, add an asset so I can get another player. Maybe it's a second rounder. Maybe it's a first rounder. Maybe I'm calling Buffalo. Maybe I'm calling one of these teams at the end of the first round that could use a wide receiver. And now I can add a pick, and I have the flexibility to take arguably the best receiver that I think is in the draft, Mekhi Lemon, at 12.
You gonna hold him for ransom?
I'm going to hold him for ransom.
You're sick.
He's either playing for me or I'm getting something for him. I'm not letting him go for free.
Let me ask you guys a question then real quick then. If the fact, because on my board, the way that it would fall, I would have Tyson from Arizona State, who I have higher.
Sure.
And then I'd also have Lemon next. Those would be 2 first rounds. But I also have 2 first round corners in Cisse, and then I also have Terrell from Clemson. So I'm not wiped out, but on my stack, I wonder if Tyson and Lemon are going to be higher than Cisse, South Carolina, and Terrell from Clemson. I still have defensive players, but according to his mock, I'm wiped out at offensive line. That's something I'm wiped out at the running back because I thought, I would take Love if I got completely out of the mix. I would have taken him, or he'd been a consideration at 12. But I wonder if, I think on my stack, there's going to be, at this point, there will be higher wide receivers than there will be cornerbacks.
Yeah, I think that's Zach's point is, you know, we haven't talked about, which is a fantastic point. We are already, like, our mindset is that Dallas is going to go defense, but if they get wiped out there, like he was just talking about, what offensive players would you be okay with? And I think that Zach's scenario is perfect when it comes to, having maybe a team that's further back having to come up and maybe they want the guy, but Lord have mercy. So with that being said, this draft, like Daniel Jeremiah's mock, is a reach. These guys, he's reaching for these guys.
What's interesting? I think what he's done is we have yet to see a mock draft that hasn't had wide receivers go in the top 10. And he just put it out there for you. Is what he did. Because we're always seeing like Tate, Ohio State. We're always seeing Tyson from Arizona State. I haven't seen Lemon in the top 10. But Zach, I absolutely respect what you're saying there because I have a first round grade on him as well. That means he's somewhere in my top 15. You know? So I should be comfortable taking him at some point in time in that draft. But I think what Daniel Jeremiah does is what I've learned is if you want one of these quality defenders, you're going to need receivers to go up. I mean, we always talk about the quarterback. There's probably only going to be one quarterback that goes in the top 10. So with that, you're going to need something other. You're going to need a receiver to go to maybe get one of these. I mean, Downs was one spot away from you. Was ahead of you by one spot. The Dolphins took him at 11. So all of a sudden you're sitting there like thinking, man, we have a shot here at Downs. Caleb Downs, my gosh, we got a shot. And then all of a sudden the Dolphins take it, and he makes really good sense. Iisha, what do you got?
So does Dallas, since Zach being a little crazy, is this a situation where if Dallas really wants a defensive player that we can see them trade up?
Ooh.
Do you want to see them? How would you feel? Because a lot of people obviously, feel away about Dallas and their lack of aggression. If this is happening like we're talking about right now, and Dallas really knows they have to, could they take an offensive player, hold him for ransom like you're talking about, Zach? Absolutely. But how would you guys feel about them saying, we want this damn player?
Yeah.
We see how this board is falling. Let's go get him. How would you gentlemen feel about that if it was like a Downs or a Terrell?
If it's Downs, I have zero issue with it. I think I've made that clear he's going to be my number one player. I think if you're going and being aggressive to get the top guy, look, in a perfect world, I want as many players to fill as many holes as I can. But he's a difference maker. Is Colton Hood, who is mocked, the corner from Tennessee, who I like, I think he can be a good player. But is he the type of difference maker that Caleb Downs is? I don't think so. No. So it would be worth it to go get Downs or whoever they have as the top corner. Maybe it's Delane from LSU.
Yeah.
Is it worth it to just go get that guy that Christian Parker says, hey, that's a plug and play ready player. And now I've got at least one piece that I feel really good about day one starting.
What about you, Bryan? Any scenarios that you think that Dallas might
go up?
How would you feel about Dallas trading up to go get a guy? If the board falls, how you just said, like how Daniel Jeremiah had it, and who was it you said that Caleb Downs was just one pick ahead? Like what would you be okay with Dallas trading up to go get a guy like him?
Man, that's what you'd have to think about, because what's happened is Caleb Downs has got past the teams I thought would probably take him. I thought that maybe the Commanders were in there, as a heck. I've seen the Giants at 5. The fact that they took Delane there and stuff like that, it throws kind of a wrench. I don't know if I have the assets to go. Do I have the assets to make that happen with no day 2 picks? I can't make a small move. Now, maybe I could give up a player or something like that. It'd be old school to trade a player to be able to go up and do that. But, man, I'm thinking, I'd be thinking the same thing. If I'm behind Dallas and all these teams, if I'm down there in behind, say, 13, 14, 15, somewhere, and I really start seeing downslide, they might have more assets to be able to go get him ahead of me than what I have to offer. I think I'm kind of stuck.
Zach, what was you thinking just now when he said the old school trading the player thing? Because I seen your eyes light up and it looked evil.
I think that's the move. I think that's what you would have to try and do. I don't know, because you're right. You don't have a 2 and a 3. Yeah. So if you're looking at that trade value chart, what are you doing? Are you moving
next year's picks? How much does somebody want next year's pick? And are you going to have to overpay a next year's pick? Would you have to give somebody? And I think that, I got to get it straight in my head for the 27. You've already got one of your first round picks committed to the Jets in the Quinnen Williams trade. What's your second round situation right now? I don't think that. So you might have.
I think they've got their second round.
So
pick.
That's what I'm saying.
They got their second next year. They do.
Yeah. So you're in a situation where you might have to overpay, like a next year's pick, like to get somebody to do that. Usually, people want the picks now. They don't want to wait for They don't want to wait for 2027 unless it's a first round pick or something like that.
Another question I have for you, gentlemen, before we move on is comp picks.
Yeah.
Obviously,
couple of fives maybe out of this.
I was asking Beamer on the other show about the comp picks specifically for Tank.
Yeah.
Because not only is he a Pro Bowler, he's now going to the Super Bowl. I know that it's contractual and stuff, the way that this stuff works. They've got a formula
for that. That and Jordan Lewis are the ones you're probably going to get picks for. It's a contractual thing, is the formula they got, and how much that you contribute and play. So, there is some elements to that. Are you hoping to get you're probably not the best you're probably going to get out of this would be a 4. But I kind of feel like that it's probably more likely a 5. We're looking at probably a couple 5s here.
So it seems like it's more likely to be a 5, but and his accomplishments and stuff have nothing to do with it. Like
no.
It's the contract and how it's signed, the numbers, things like that. Correct?
Exactly. And there's an element to how they played in the starter and stuff like that. But
tracking that.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. Real quick too. But Iisha, I want to get something, because I saw this, and then we'll get into these defensive tackles, because I do want to talk about them. But circling back again, a Cowboy angle here. A Cowboy angle when it comes to how they're interviewing coaches. Denzel Martin is the outside linebacker coach at Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. Could we be in a situation where we're looking at talking about interviewing? You got Marcus Dixon, who is like, my guys are telling me really good run defender kind of a coach at defensive line would be that kind of a play the run defense well or coach the run defense well. Could Denzel Martin be a guy that they would potentially bring on because outside linebacker teaching these guys, these rush, we've seen Pittsburgh and with the scheme that they play. Is this your coach that's going to teach how to pass rush? Working here. Is that something that they're setting themselves up for? with this odd man front defense, and that Denzel Martin is going to be the guy that's coaching pass rushers.
I think they're setting themselves up for multiplicity.
Yeah.
And being able to having these guys be able to do multiple things, how to read the run, how to play the run. Obviously, the RPO is super heavy in this NFL. But one thing we saw with the Steelers is that their guys also drop in coverage.
Yeah.
My Jesus. It scares me because we haven't seen Dallas defensive linemen be able to do it well in a long time. However, I do think that element could help your scheme, could definitely help, your defense be better, especially with how much offenses killed you on the edges and in the flats this year. So I'm kind of, and Dallas has, outside of Tank, we talked about that even when Tank was here, even when Mike was here, people would just run in the other direction.
Right.
Quite literally, rush contain is something Dallas has struggled with for a while. Outside of, those key players. So maybe they're just trying to, like I said, become more multiple as a defensive front to be able to do all types of different things, which would be on par with kind of what I think the DC wants, and also too what some of these linebacker coaches do. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, what do you got, Zach?
Yeah, I'm with you. I do wonder if it ends up making like a Nick Herbig who's with Pittsburgh. Is that a player that all of a sudden there's interest in? Is that a trade? Because I think he's got 1 year left on his deal. If I'm not mistaken, I think he signed through the 2026 season. So is that like a pick swap situation? Do you move from 12 to 21 and say, give us Herbig and we'll take your 21st pick? Now you're picking at 20 and 21 and you get the linebacker, right? And that fits what maybe Christian Parker's wanting to do. You've got familiarity if you do hire that linebacker coach. You're always looking for that. I'm always trying to connect the dots. I think the Cowboys in their history have done a good job of allowing those coaches to go out and get players they want. Clearly, that could end up being something where fans are like, well, it doesn't always work, right? Look at Jack Sanborn, Kenneth Murray. If those were guys that Eberflus wanted, that didn't pan out for the Cowboys this year. But just because one time it doesn't work doesn't mean that that's always how it's going to end up going. I think to your point, corners that can tackle are going to be big for Christian Parker. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell are physical players. They will come up and hit you. So that's one thing that I think is impressive when we're breaking down the corners in this class. Colton Hood, who's mocked there at 12 from Daniel Jeremiah, will tackle. Right? Delane will tackle. Terrell will tackle. These guys aren't afraid to mix it up. So I think, and no disrespect to Trayvon Diggs, but that was the knock on him. Teams would run at his side. He wasn't going to fill the edge there. He wasn't going to come up and support the run. So I think that's also something that is now probably elevated importance when we're looking at some of these corners and secondary players.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, I think that we've seen that in the league in general, is that it's funny because when I was a kid and I would hear people talk about Deion Sanders, it was always he's not that strong of a tackler, blah, blah, blah. You almost can't exist like that in this league now. I think that if your corners are not willing to come up and tackle and sometimes even, contain the edge, listen, like you're going to get killed there. And we've seen teams they attack there, especially with the running backs, especially with how running backs have become like regular receiving threats. So I agree with you. It is more than ever a league where you need corners that are physical and that can tackle. Now, what I'm trying to look at in my evaluations is over the course of a game, what does that do to him? Is that wearing on him? Are we seeing any type of slower reactions from him from having to come up and tackle? What is his durability like? So I feel like with these corners that can tackle, I love it. But what is his play strength like throughout the game if he's having to do that consistently?
Yeah, I think to me that you talk about one interesting stat that I learned kind of through the playoffs was the New England Patriots were the best in the league. When they missed a tackle, the average was about 4.5 yards more after they missed a tackle. But they were that was the best percentage in the league, 4.5. So if you missed a tackle, they had a situation where they rallied to the ball and got their guy to the ground. So 4.5 after a missed tackle was best in the league. That was New England in the way that they were playing right there. So you got to be able to find a way to tackle and do the things you have to do. All right, let's dive into these defensive linemen. These defensive tackles. We're trying to kind of cover some positions. We're going to go through a lot of different scenarios and stuff like that. But I do want to talk about the first one I want to talk about. And Iisha, I'll start with you on this one, is Kayden McDonald from Ohio State. Your thoughts about him as a player when you studied him and kind of where you see him fitting with teams in the National Football League.
Yes, Kayden McDonald, Ohio State, Woodwood. I know that, somebody over there is.
Oh, he loves the wide receivers at Ohio State.
He's a lover of that place.
I am, yeah.
Buckeye Bob 6'3", over there. Yeah.
This man is 6'3", about 326. And guess what, y'all? He's just 20 years old, so he's a what?
He's a baby.
He's a McNugget.
He's a little nugget.
He's a nugget. He's from Georgia. I wrote down that he was a part of an extremely consistent and well-coached unit with Ohio State, coached by Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia came in there. I think it's very important that we mention his impact that he had this year.
Right.
Prior to his arrival, Ohio State did a lot of four-man fronts. They opted this year to do different alignments, mugged fronts, more five-man pressures, things like that. And I think that really helped a gentleman like this exceed. Mm-hmm. He took on an elevated role with all of the starters from Ohio State getting drafted last year. So that kind of speaks to me to some of his leadership, his ability to rise to the occasion. That's something that we're looking at from players. Man, listen, this man got a whole lot of violence at the point of attack with his hands.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about pop, when you see guys coming off the ball, you see guys' helmets kind of pop back when he puts his hands on them. I thought that his power was on display really in that Miami game. You really got to see like his play strength is functional and that it's consistent through the game. I like how he latches and extends and locks out his arms, and he keeps his feet active while he's reading the rushers and QBs. He led the FBS with 30 run stops this season. So that allows you to know that he understands gap integrity. I do think that this gentleman will thrive in a two-gap system, and he's going to be able to win one-on-ones, but he is going to thrive because he can also win one-on-ones. He's going to make other guys' job easier. And again, I think it was really good that we got to see him this year without that competition around him. Because I feel like you have to, not saying that other guys weren't good, I'm just saying that you need to see what is he when all of these starters go. Yeah, what is he doing? What is he doing at that point? I see. Also, I said this is he's only a first year starter. This is a 1 year starter. Mm-hmm. So he's a baby. And he's a nugget. And I do think that he has a lot to learn as a pass rusher. Jump in anytime, Zach, if you want to.
That's what he got on that one, too.
Yeah, jump in.
I thought it was kind of fun. They played him at fullback in that Cotton Bowl game against Missouri.
Yeah,
it's why, and you're starting to see that. I mean, you saw New England this past week in that AFC Championship. They're putting Milton Williams and Togiai in there, and they're trying to do the tush-push deal. But, I mean, he's a great athlete for the size. He's a power bottom. Like super wide frame, the play strength, he nailed all that. He can push the pocket with the strong bull rush. He's just very difficult to move. I love the leverage. I think he recovers well, moves super well for his size. I do think overall as a pass rusher, you can improve the consistency there. And maybe that is, hey, it's just 1 year of starting. But in terms of being a space eater and being a run defender, like a true nose tackle, this guy's what you want in that area, no question about it. And just something about him as a person, partnering with the Ronald McDonald House of Charities of Central Ohio, seems like a really good human being as well that you want in your organization.
You know what, Zach? Yeah. You kind of talked about him about a space eater. I thought he was more than just a space eater. And I know you weren't just saying that. You weren't tagging him, this is a space eater. This is a guy that's super active in the way he plays. And, I mean, you watch him and I think the way that, and Iisha always, it's funny when you text Iisha and you text her information, she'll go tracking. She always says tracking. I think this guy tracks the ball really well. I think that for a guy you worry about some of these defensive linemen and their ability, and they're getting hit from all sides, but he's finding the ball and working that way. So some of these guys you'll see they'll sit down in there and you can't move them. This guy is a big guy that can move, and I would not be surprised one bit if he was the first defensive tackle taken off the board. I mean, in a way, I know that they're the Clemson. I'm talking about for like the one technique or that nose tackle type of guys. I think Peter Woods from Clemson, a lot of people will probably have him as being the guy, but I love me some Kayden McDonald watching him play.
Yeah, I mean, Bryan, you talked about, him not just being, a space eater.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought his initial step was good. I thought that he obviously he can win with the bull rush.
Right.
And he is just extreme. I mean, the power that you see. Yep. And I think it has a lot the power is effective because he understands his leverage.
Yeah.
He plays with pretty sound leverage. Now, one thing I will say that I want to point out to you, gentlemen, did you feel like, which is very normal, do you feel like he can get a little high in his pads
he can get
at times?
Little tall.
At times, yeah.
Tall.
Yep. Yeah, and I think too, Bryan, it kind of goes back to what you were talking about with he does have a good natural feel in diagnosing the run. You can see him; he's a little bit more patient than what you would think guys his age would be.
Yeah.
But I do think that some of the pass rush stuff, that Washington game, and in that Miami game. I see a guy that can, sift through some BS. I see a guy that can.
I think you're right about that.
That can, to your point, Bryan, that is not just trying to take up, room. He's trying to find the ball carrier or find the quarterback as well. So I think he has some upside. Yeah, I enjoyed him, and I do think that his body type is that of a true nose.
Yep,
absolutely.
True nose, because you already know them tweeny.
Yeah, don't want to do that. Hey, Zach, how about Christen Miller from Georgia? What did you see in him?
Yeah, this is another big boy, 6'4", 310. He was a redshirt junior, played in 43 games. He's made 23 starts. 13th ranked prospect coming out of high school there in Georgia. He's got a good jump, I think, at the snap. Plays consistent with his leverage. Really quick and powerful hands. Gets upfield in a hurry to disrupt the pocket. Now, he's not the best finisher, but he's super disruptive. I think that he can improve his finishing to make plays, but he will penetrate and cause havoc in the backfield to disrupt plays and timing. I think he uses his arms really well to extend, keep his chest clean. Not an easy guy to block and move off the ball. He anchors down, can hold the point of attack well. He can improve, get more pass rush moves, but he's got some burst. He's got some twitchiness to his game for a big guy. Did not have a lot of production for how many games he played. That was something that I did notice. Now, that could just be the position. That could be also how he's utilized in that Georgia scheme. But I did have that as like, okay, why? And does that also fall back to the finishing there? I think this is a guy whose best football is going to be ahead of him. I can see coaches and scouts falling in love with him, the way that he plays, the effort, the motor, the size, the way he's able to move. He's got what you want from the size, strength, speed standpoint at the position. Also can eat up blocks, disengage to make tackles. He might have some position flex to move up and down the line.
He does play up and down the line. He sure does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, the gap integrity, I think there's sometimes he can get a little bit out of his lane, but that also could be at times that gets a little bit scary, and that could also go back to the Georgia scheme, that what he's being asked to do. But there's a lot to like about Christen Miller at Georgia.
How about that, Iisha? Christen Miller from Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Zach. That was something that stood out to me is just the 12.5 sack. Well, the 2.5 sacks. You're like, okay, well, where's the production? But when you go look at the tape and look at kind of what they have him doing, I thought that maybe it was the usage and also too him being a finisher. Because as an inverse, he had 11% win rate as a rusher this past year.
Yeah.
So he is getting pressure, to Zach's point. He's just not finishing. So that's something that you can work on. And to your point, I think he does have fantastic bodily control when you talk about his development, because the stacking and shedding and the disengaging, the technique is typically very clean. So I do think that he has the bodily control to gain some more of that pass rush stuff. I will say also too, he has a really wide, balanced stance.
Yeah.
And he just takes up damn space.
Yeah.
Like he does take up space.
Yeah.
To where it's going to be more difficult to dig him out of gaps because that stance, you very seldom are going to catch him sideways with the way that his body takes up space. I will say too, I think that his athleticism. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think that his athleticism and play strength has allowed him to will allow him to play all over the line of scrimmage, just like you said.
There you go.
But I will say some of his pass rush stuff, you see him win with a swim move. He kind of does sometimes.
You do.
He has the bull rush as well.
You do.
Does this guy don't get mad at me. Does this guy have more natural athleticism than McDonald? Do you see more of an
yes. Which is why I think that he's got versatility to play different positions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the techniques depending on what you want on your defense. So yes, I do, and it's not a knock on McDonald by any means.
It's not meant to be a knock.
Really, all of these defensive tackles, there are things that I like about all of them. I think this is actually a pretty strong D tackle class, which the Cowboys aren't interested in, but other teams are going to get a good player here. But I think you're right about the assessment of Miller being a better athlete.
Yeah, I just think. I thought his initial step off the line was like above average, far above average, and how he slips through gaps to the quarterback. I agree with Bryan. Is like this guy. I think this guy he does some similar things to McDonald, where he's really reading the game. Like he's really reading. So I think his hand usage can improve.
Sure.
And the motor is efficient, but he started getting a little tight. Getting a little tall. But I think that at this point, that's maybe a normal thing for these big guys. Yeah.
Yeah, they get
tired. Is that just a normal thing?
Tired.
How many guys are going to not do that at this point, right?
The thing with Christen Miller, and what we got to know about, and you guys have pointed this out, is the scheme. How much two-gap stuff? When you see that, like that, where they extend, and then they're looking, and that's kind of some of the stuff that we were killing Mozzie Smith on.
Yes.
How much, and then all of a sudden when you draft this guy, and we're talking about Mozzie Smith, you got to know what scheme these guys are playing. We've seen at Philadelphia how these Georgia defensive linemen have adapted to playing better up the field, but they play in a scheme where they play that two-gap, peek inside, peek outside, and then go to the football. I think Christen Miller, I do think, Iisha, I think you're right. I think he's got, if you want to say, a better athletic ability than what you have McDonald. You will see Christen Miller, they'll loop him on stunts. Like they'll go down and then they'll loop him around. Usually the tackle guys are kind of the pivot or the point of attack, and then they'll loop somebody else. But this guy, they're not afraid to loop around that way at all. So that's pretty good. Okay, Iisha. Talk to me about Darrell Jackson. And he was Darrell Jackson, Florida State. Darrell Jackson, I saw him this week working at the East-West Shrine game and stuff like that. So I need to check the rosters. They had a bunch of guys that bailed out. They practiced during the week, and then we've had some guys that are leaving and going on. They wanted to do the interviews. They wanted to do the practice, and now I need to see about Darrell Jackson from Florida State, but he looked good. A big man from Florida State, Iisha.
Yeah, I think people sleeping on him a little bit.
Okay.
This was my favorite watch.
Of the group we just did?
Out of the group we just did. I'm saying like I enjoyed this watch the most.
Okay.
Wow.
Y'all don't be mad at me.
Nobody's mad at you.
I'm not mad at you. I just feel for my guy Lee Hunter.
And don't get it twisted. I enjoyed watching him too. But this dude got something to him that makes me excited watching him. 6'5", 337 pounds. This gentleman transferred from Miami to Florida State. Probably good for him because they've had a whole bunch of people on their depth chart. Yeah. He's 23. He's 22 years old. He'll be 23 by the time he's drafted. 2025, he had 45 tackles, 1 sack. Not that special. 2024, 31 tackles, 3.5 sacks. 2023, he got caught up with some of the transfer portal stuff and was not able to participate. I think that kind of hurt him a little bit. 2022, He had 27 tackles with 3 sacks with Miami. And on his career, he's had 44 pressures.
Yeah.
This gentleman, the first thing that I noticed about him is the low center of gravity with him. He has such power when he initially makes contact. And he really pops off the line. Like you see him really pop off the line.
He's got the best get off out of the group.
Yes, he has the best get off. Elite. Incredible drive in his lower half allows him to drive linemen back into the quarterback. He is really difficult to move off of his gap.
Yeah.
I think, is that what I said? Can you read? What did I say?
Gap or spot.
Good. Oh, when he anchors, he has raw power. Like, and he has, to me, I think, I don't know if you felt like that, Zach. I feel like he has control over that power more than what you would think at his age. You know, this experience to know when to anchor, when to really sit down on somebody. Like, I think he gets that. He's actually kind of elusive as well. I think he can be elusive through double teams and still affect the quarterback. You see him split double teams sometimes. So I do think that that's something that is going to come up in the future. This gentleman is very disruptive. And he is constantly pursuing the ball carrier, like constantly trying to get through. I think his foot quickness is phenomenal for his size. He wins with his initial quickness, bull rush. He has a rip through move he uses, and he will really swim through some of these offensive tackles and make them pay. If they overset, he's going through them. He's going past them. He made, like we talked about, he's been making waves in the Shrine Bowl practices. People are really getting to see his want to. You see it on tape. Sure. It's the want to and the continuous. I think people have been talking about that. He's what you said, Zach. He has a high cut frame.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 6'5". I mean, he's a tall guy.
He has a bit of a high cut frame. And I think that affects his pad level sometimes. And the athletic ability is something that he really relies upon. So how nuanced is he going to get in his technique and stuff? I think that he will need to be in a rotational role until he builds this motor to be effective longer throughout games. I do think that you do see him tire out because he's so crazy and he always doing something. But when you look at his measurements, 6'5" and 1/8 of an inch. He was in the 92nd percentile. Weight 328 pounds in the 89th percentile. Hands 11 inches, 97th percentile. His arms. His arms are 35 inches long, 94th percentile. I mean, the profile. I enjoyed this player, y'all. I'm sorry. Like, I enjoy watching this player. I think people are sleeping on him. I think he is going to be a game wrecker at the 3 tech position or at the 1 if you put him there. What you got?
No, he can become a problem. Yeah. He really can. He is a havoc type of player. You talk about a guy that can work stunts, can loop as a rusher, feel and timing. He's got all that. He demands double teams. I mean, he demands attention from the offensive line or else he is going to wreck your game plan. Now, you will see him, I think, kind of get kicked out wide, pushed out of the run game sometimes. And again, that could be a fatigue type thing because he is going 100 miles an hour at all times, but his ability to fire off the football, I love the anchor. I love the instant leverage that he's able to get when his hands are working. This dude is an elite prospect. He just needs to get it consistently because if he can get those hands down, then he's got to be one of these dudes that you're seeing ascend at the next level. He can add some counter moves, improve the pass rush, but he has a lot of tools to work with. Also, he was high school teammates with Joshua Farmer, also a Florida State kid. And I was a big Joshua Farmer fan.
You were.
Defensive tackle from a couple of years ago. But this guy, I mean, his first game at Florida State was actually that Orange Bowl. He did have to sit out that year, you're right. But that Orange Bowl where everybody left FSU, he's one of the last guys there. He's got to play against Georgia, 3 tackles, half a sack. I mean, he is a guy that stepped up in big games for them. Difficult 1v1 block. I mean, you can't handle this guy 1v1.
Yeah, no, didn't you? Okay, so you said that he sometimes can get pushed out of plays. I saw that with Mr. Ohio State too.
Yeah, sure. McDonald. Yeah.
And again, it could be fatigue.
It could be. That's why I'm saying I think that it might be fatigue. But again, I'm trying to learn, and maybe Bryan can give us insight on this. When we are grading or looking at a defensive tackle's motor, what is like what's the threshold? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it like how many are we trying to gauge how many plays he can play without getting substituted?
Yeah,
like how are we gauging what his motor is?
You look at the Miami kids. Yeah, the Miami kids, like you watch Bain and Messidor play on tape, they never come off the field. I know those are edge rushers and stuff like that. Yeah. But people try their best to rotate their defensive tackles if they have enough guys. Or if you have a guy like this who's just massive and causes problems. They couldn't block him here at the East-West game. I mean, these centers were trying to block him. You can watch the Miami game, and he's driving the Miami center back into the backfield. You know, this is a powerful, powerful guy. So the motor, I think, is really, really good for this guy. For as big as he is, you could see him do some really good things. All right, the final one we got here, and Zach, I'll let you start since you're our resident. I know you love Ohio State as much, but you love Texas Tech just as much. Lee Hunter, defensive tackle from Texas Tech.
Yeah, this is my top guy of the group, and to me, I've got him out behind Peter Woods. He's the best defensive tackle for me, 6'4", 330. Teammates call him the Fridge. That's his nickname. He's from Mobile, Alabama, where he was a two-way star in high school, one of the highest-rated recruits in the class of 21. Alabama. He played in all 13 games this year for Tech. He transferred after he started his career at Auburn, then played the last 3 years at UCF, 38 games there, had 21 and a half tackles for loss, 5 sacks over 3 years, led all of FBS interior defenders in run stops and tackles for loss or no gain during his first year at UCF. Production's there with the dude. I love his hands. I think that's what it is. He is a trash can full of dirt type. He can play head up over the center as a nose. I think he can play one tech. Incredibly difficult guy to move. Tremendous power, but he's also slippery for his size. So the fast hands, the swipe, he can work the swim, the arm over, plays with the leverage. I think that's something with all these guys for their size. They do a good job with their pad leverage for the most part. Really good run defender, can stack and shed blocks, takes on double teams, penetrates. He can delay his rush. So you'll see at times off the snap, like it's not like he takes a step back, but he's waiting, and then here come the hands. And here he comes. We got big boy moving. And now he's going upfield here. A big reason I think Tech's defense was successful was because of Lee Hunter. And Lee Hunter didn't get credit for it. Because you're seeing Bailey, you're seeing Romello Height, and even my guy J-Rod. But Lee Hunter is getting a lot of these guys favorable matchups because of what he's doing in the middle of this defense. He is very difficult to move around, and he's playing with his eyes, boys. He is a guy that is playing with his eyes at all times. He's creating for others. The gap integrity is there. Big fan of his. I think he's a great athlete for his size. I think Lee Hunter is one of these guys. I would not be surprised to see him sneak into the first round.
Man, Brian, give it to us. What you got?
No, I tell you what, I think Zach, I have him below the guys we're talking about. I actually have him ahead of Jackson. You know, but the other two guys, when you start to talk about McDonald, Miller, I would have him behind. I would have Jackson behind. I think Hunter's everything you're talking about with him. I was impressed by watching him in the game against Oregon and his ability and how he made the life of the center at Oregon hell. The way that he was swimming around him, pushing him around, didn't get reached on the blocks. This is a very, very physical player. Plays up the field. He's not a two-gap guy. I mean, he is a attacking big man up the field. I was really, really impressed. I know I was asking people like, well, what do you think about this? I asked my buddy in the league about Lee Hunter. I said, what about this guy? And he goes, oh, man, you kind of figured him out, huh? And I'm like, I guess so. So, yeah, there's the one thing about it is this group of guys that we've gone through, if you're one of those teams that's looking for a defensive tackle that can play the nose, can maybe even play some 3, play the 1 for sure, Iisha, there's a good group of guys here, and I think that Lee Hunter is part of that group with McDonald and Miller and Jackson as well. What do you got on Lee Hunter yourself?
Oh no, I think Zach hit it on the head. I will say that I do think that he has good play. One thing I noticed, I thought he had good play recognition while he's playing the run. I mean, like you said, we've talked about a lot of these guys, and a lot of these guys seem heady in a sense of they are reading and playing with good technique and things like that. And a lot of time when you look at these defensive tackles, especially from this last 2 years, I don't know if it's the coaching, I don't know what it is, but it does seem like we always talk about defensive tackle like when they get into the league, they're going to take a while to get there. And I do agree with that. But I do think that some of these guys are plug and play guys.
Yeah,
like, are they still going to be light in the ass? Are they still? But from a up here standpoint, it feels like a lot of them are capable of taking the coaching, taking what they've been taught, and to play their assignment. Like, we talked about a few of them. They like to jump out of gaps and stuff. That's normal. But I think the biggest thing that stood out to me with him is how he can straight up, out of all the guys that we watched, this is one of the only guys that can straight up stand blockers up at initial contact. He ain't got to do and the reason why he can do that is because the upper body strength is, if not as strong, it's right there with the lower body. So when he really dudes be on their tippy toes, and and the way that he works his hands, like you guys were talking about, he has room to grow. But he's just constantly doing something. I was like, damn, I'm sure he get on people's nerves. Sit your ass down. And I will say, too, I think that I don't know if contact balance applies to defensive tackles, but
for sure
it helps.
I thought he had good contact balance. I mean, the way he takes on double teams, he's not just getting driven back. You see him fighting through the reps. And also, too, he's reading the double teams, so he can slip them. He's reading them. And I just think that's kind of an advanced thing that I didn't see. Last year, we saw it a little bit in that pass draft, but the ones prior to that we did together, I didn't see these defensive tackles reading to this level at that point. I didn't see as many, I'll say that. So anyway, you talked about the heavy hands. He's mean with those hands. He has some paws on him.
Zach, I'll go to you.
He has some paws on him, don't he, Wolchuk? Like, they look heavy. They look like they effing hurt when he's swiping at people. But I think the quickness and stuff is going to help him translate to the league as he gets more of an understanding of being a pass rusher. But again, this is another true nose. Another true nose. And remember, we were in a drought? You remember that?
It seemed
remember
like
we were in a drought for true noses, and these last two drafts were just
really good. Okay, Zach, I say power rank, but stack them: McDonald, Miller, Jackson, Hunter. Stack them.
Okay. I'm going to go Lee, Hunter, Kayden McDonald, Jackson, Miller.
Okay. Iisha.
I'm going to go Kayden McDonald, Lee Hunter, Darrell Jackson, and Christen Miller. I'm high on Darrell Jackson. I'm sorry.
I don't think you're wrong about that.
He's giving me what was the gentleman's name? He ain't gonna run the same, but what was it? The gentleman that went to the Steelers. Remember at a time way? No, at a time way. You know what I'm talking about? It was our first year's draft. He ran a blazing 40. And I was talking about him before, and I was like, I think this guy.
This is going to bother me. I'm going to go find this.
You picked like the hardest name in the world to find. If I had to do it myself, I'd go McDonald, Miller, Hunter, Jackson is how I would have my stack with those guys.
Oh, so you don't love Hunter as much as other people do.
I do. I like Hunter. I like McDonald and Miller, I think, a little bit better. But Jackson, I think they're all that's why I'm glad we did this group. But I tell you what, I am a big fan of this one technique thing. Zach, did you figure out that name she was talking about?
I found it.
I mean, I know you liked Keanu Benton, but
he was Wisconsin, wasn't he?
Yeah, then that's not a weird name. I mean, there's Atemayo.
What year was that? What year was it? 2022?
Azizi? Is this the guy? Asazi?
It's like a Tommy something.
Atamawu. From Minnesota? We're going to have to go back and find out who this is.
I think he went to the Steelers.
I'm looking at the Steelers depth chart. He might not have been a Steeler.
All right, Iisha. Really? I'm going to give you time to.
We're going to figure this out.
Figure this one out.
We'll next on Thursday we'll figure out who this is.
We'll lead the show off with Iisha remembers the difficult name that we couldn't come up with for this.
Y'all don't make fun of me.
Was it 2023?
Consider yourself being made fun of.
No, it was 2023. I think I got it. Wait.
Okay.
Okay. No. Well, y'all, we can go. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna close the show, Iisha. And if you figure out the name, you got the name? You got it?
No, I don't.
Too much pressure on you.
Wait, that's the first round. Okay,
I'm trying to go back and pull up 2023 notes as we talk.
Yeah. Bro, I'm telling you, he was really good.
Yeah, I'm going to tweet it out for this. All right.
And he killed the combine, and everybody was like, "Who is this guy? Okay. Who is this guy?"
It's so funny when I purge names out of my head. You know, I always I go from one draft to another is what I do. So. Anyway, I'll let you. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it, Iisha. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. I'm going to close the show. You would bring that up, though. You crazy.
You're killing us.
Because that's who he reminds me of.
That'll do it. We'll figure it out. I'm sure that somebody will text it in. I'll read the comments, and we'll get all that.
Somebody's going to help us.
He's stronger, but still.
All right, Iisha, it's okay. We'll come back to it. We'll get it. All right. Hey, listen, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on The Stack. We do appreciate everything you guys do for us here at Crown Global Media. We're doing our very best to bring you the best content. With the draft or the Cowboys or anything to do with the National Football League. We're probably going to talk about it, especially when it comes to the draft. We're going to talk about it here on The Stack. So just kind of keep tuning in here. And like I say, we're going to break down wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs. We're going to have the whole group. We'll go down through the rounds as well and have you covered all that. So when the draft does come around, you have an idea of where we're at as far as these players, and then maybe have a little bit of ideas where you guys are at. So again, for my scout buddy, Iisha Morrison, for Zach Wolchuk, I'm Bryan Broaddus. Thanks again for joining us here on The Stack. You can look at all our shows on Crown Global Media. We got our merch up. You could get you some Stack stuff. You could get you some Scout Size stuff. Just take it and look at that. Everything there for you. And hopefully you will enjoy that. So we will see you next Thursday when Iisha is going to tell us the mystery name of the player she liked so much in the draft, 2-3 years ago. We'll see you later, guys.